It started with a whisper, an outsider's rumor swirling through our small town like a gust of bitter wind. I first caught it at the high school cafeteria. My best friend Maya slid into the booth opposite me, tray balanced on one hand, eyes wide. "Have you heard?" she whispered, voice cracking. "They say your parents aren't really your parents." I laughed, thinking it was another one of Dylan's pranks. "Nice try." She shook her head. "I saw Grandpa Cohen at the diner. Swears it's true. He says May and Pay found you on their doorstep as a baby, wrapped in a Burberry blanket with a letter signed by some anonymous benefactor." My heart stuttered against my ribs. A Burberry blanket? A baby left on my parents' doorstep? I was the baby they'd brought home from the hospital. How could they have stolen me? I shoved my tray aside, panic buzzing in my ears. "Maya, don't say that." But the seed was planted. That afternoon, I cornered my mother in the laundry room at home. She was humming "Here Comes the Sun," folding a stack of shirts. "Mom," I said, my voice small, "did you find me on your doorstep as a baby?" Her smile faded. She set the shirts down, eyes widening. "What on earth? Where did you—" I couldn't hold back. Maya said. She took a breath, raking a hand through her hair. "Andy, please. Maya's just been around the block. I promise you were born to us. At St. Helena, 3 kilos. I was in labor for 20 hours. I held up a hand. Maya saw Grandpa Cohen. Maya's silly dad's voice boomed from the hallway. He entered, face pale. "What's happening? Don't lie to me." I showed them the blanket sketch Maya described. "A Burberry blanket?" My mother's lips trembled. "He's never lied to you." Dad opened his mouth, shut it, then clasped my shoulder. "We love you, son." I shrugged him off. "Prove it." And so began 3 harrowing months of suspicion, tears and silence. Grandpa Cohen kept repeating his claim. "Go ask Paris," he'd said. "They'll tell you the story." But nobody else spoke the truth. My parents fumbled paperwork, old photo albums, even plucked my baby book from the attic, only to find the hospital wristbands, the ultrasound photos, the birth certificate with their names in bold script. Still, doubt clung to them, each day shredding a bit more of the trust we once shared. I tried to hold on to normalcy. I buried myself in college applications, marathon training, and part-time bartending shifts at the Gilded Rose, where the lavender gin cocktail was my specialty. I boarded up my bedroom in our split-level house, posters of indie bands on bare drywall, clothes piled on the floor, and retreated into a cocoon of headphones and late-night study sessions. Everything changed the night of the Roaring Fork Gala, a fundraising event for the local youth center. I wore a borrowed tux, oiling my hair back, feeling more like a scarecrow than a socialite. I'd agreed to serve drinks. My boss insisted it was good networking, and I found myself behind the bar, pouring Prosecco, exchanging pleasantries. That's when I saw her, Marigold Dane, fleet of step, in a sequined emerald dress that caught the light like a firefly's glow. She drifted to the VIP table at the far end of the ballroom, where my parents sat among the town's dignitaries, Commissioner Torres, the local judge, the real estate magnate who had bulldozed half the farmland for townhomes. Marigold's presence sent a ripple through the crowd, startled whispers, champagne flutes paused midair. She stood, lifted her chin, and surveyed the room like a general eyeing her troops. Then her gaze locked on me at the bar. The world seemed to slow. She crossed the floor with precise steps and stopped before me, brows arched. "Andrew Talbot?" she asked, voice like polished marble. I blinked. "Yes?" She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. She produced a slim, leather-bound notebook from her clutch. "May I steal you for a moment?" I glanced at my customers, who stared. Sure." She led me to a quiet corner behind the refreshment table. "I'm Marigold Dane," she said, offering a nod so slight I almost missed it. "I believe you're my nephew." My stomach did a triple flip. "Your nephew?" She flipped open the notebook, glossy photos, birth announcements, clippings of old tabloids, headlines like Dane Dynasty Mystery, Heiress Secret Child. She tapped the pages. "Your mother was Annabelle Dane. I'm her sister, your aunt." Memories swirled. Mom's silenced phone calls, her hands trembling. Dad's rushed business trips. The way they freaked at the sight of anyone mentioning the Danes. "My mother vanished in 1990, Marigold continued, glancing around. "She was engaged to be married, but disappeared 3 days before the wedding. The entire Dane family assumed she ran off. The tabloids had a field day, but she was pregnant. We found the blankets, 2 Burberry blankets, monogrammed AD, and a letter sealed in her handwriting. My breath caught. I saw the blankets, wrapped around you, Marigold said. She left you on your parents' doorstep, with instructions to adopt you in her name. She gave up everything to protect you from my father's wrath, and from sure scandal. My chest tightened. And you knew this? She nodded, voice soft. I helped raise funds so you could have your own life. I sent scholarships through the foundation. I tracked your achievements from afar. Tears stung my eyes. Why now? She closed the notebook. Because your parents just sold you out, gave away the only home you ever knew. I heard you were back working at the Gilded Rose. I found you. I want you to know where you come from. A trumpet fanfare sounded from the ballroom speakers, start of the next auction item. Marigold snapped the notebook shut, tucked it away, and offered me her hand. Come with me. I followed her through the crowd, parents' stunned expressions in their wake, to a private ballroom suite. Inside, the room glittered with crystal chandeliers and velvet banquettes. A side table held photos. My baby footprints, a hospital bedside frame with siblings dressed in Dane silks, my childhood drawings labeled "My Future Aunt." Marigold's voice trembled. This is your home, as much as it's ever been mine. She wiped a tear. I'm sorry your parents didn't tell you. You deserved the truth. My mind raced, my identity upended. I took a trembling photo with my phone. All this time, I was. Your birthright, Marigold said. You're the lone heir to Dane Enterprises, over $1 billion in assets, trust funds, art collections, real estate in 3 continents. Your mother made sure you were raised simply, in hiding. She wanted you to choose your path, not be handed a title. I sank onto a velvet seat, stunned. That's insane. She offered me champagne. I accepted, fingers shaking. We sat across from each other, the hush authoritative. What happens now? I whispered. She leaned forward, earnest. I'll help you claim it, if you wish. Or you can continue your life as you have. No strings, no name, just you. I stared at the glass, the bubbles rising like questions I couldn't answer. The chandelier sparkled overhead, fractals of light. My gaze flicked to my parents' faces, in the ballroom doorway. They'd followed us, pale terror on their features. I drained the glass, set it down. I need time. She nodded. Of course. She put a hand on mine. But know this, you're not alone. You have family waiting for you. Real family. I exhaled, head spinning. Truth and betrayal, wrapped into one. Outside, the auctioneer called for bids on a Damien Hirst print. Inside, my life pivoted, on a revelation I'd never seen coming. I stood, Marigold rising with me. I straightened my shoulders. Thank you. For my birthday present. She smiled. Sad, proud, relieved. Happy 30th, Andy. And I walked back into the ballroom, back into the storm of my parents' guilt and fear, holding Marigold's phone number, and an inheritance I'd never expected. The world shifted beneath my feet, and for the first time I wondered who was I meant to become. I stood in the grand ballroom of the Roaring Fork Gala, the murmurs of the crowd wrapping around me like a fine cashmere shawl. My parents hovered in the shadows near the entrance, Mom's face as pale as her silk scarf, Dad's mouth a tight line. The chandeliers above glinted with 1,000 secrets. As I made my way toward them, Marigold's card burned like a beacon in my pocket. Andy? My mother's voice cracked, trembled. She reached out, twisted her hands. We can explain. I kept walking, eyes fixed on her. I don't know if I want to hear it. Dad stepped forward, his shoulders rounded. Son, I never meant to. Save it, I said. The words sliced through the gala's genteel facade. Silk gowns rustled. Waiters paused mid-serve. The mayor's wife gasped. You hid the truth. You stole my life. Mom's tears spilled. We were protecting you. Your mother, my sister, Annabelle, was in danger. The press would have destroyed her reputation. And you too. Dad's voice caught. We found that letter. The blankets. We panicked. We signed the adoption papers under the ordeal. We thought we were doing right. I inhaled, feeling the weight of a decade of lies pressing in. Doing right. You sold me out when they said I might be a threat. When they told you I carried a bloodline worth billions. You believed lies about me. Mom looked to Dad. They told us you were dangerous, that you'd return someday, claim your inheritance, endanger our business, and your mother's family. Dad pressed his hand to his chest. It was the rumor that the Danes would send agents for their missing heiress child, meant as a scare tactic to brand you as a target. I closed my eyes. And instead you became the villains in my story. A hush fell as Marigold approached, taking her place beside me. Her cousin, my aunt, the one with the billionaire's blood. She offered a gentle nod. It was messy, she said. But I guarantee no one was more shocked than I was when I saw your name on those registry files. Faces turned toward the family tableau, murmurs of scandal rippling through the gala. The mayor's wife perched on her nerves. The reporters lurking in corners raised cameras at silent readiness. I took a measured step back. This was no longer a private reckoning. It was a public unraveling. I glanced at Mom, her face a pleading storm. What now? She drew a trembling breath. Now you decide. You can take your place in Dane Enterprises, reclaim your inheritance, wealth, power, or you can walk away like the son we raised. Dad's hand found Mom's. We beg your forgiveness. I swallowed. The Danes' wealth meant skyscrapers, art collections, shareholders, boardrooms. It meant the power to shape industries, to carve policy all the way to Iceland. It meant a life far removed from bartending shifts and Tuesday lunch discounts. But it also meant duty I'd never sought. I'd spent years carving a small life out of passion, not legacy. I'd built websites, not corporations. I'd chased autonomy, not ascendancy. Emily, the mayor's daughter, approached with 2 flutes of champagne. She offered one to me. I took it, the fizz prickling my palm. To truth, she said, voice steady. We clinked glasses. May it set us free. Marigold gestured toward a side table. If you'd like, we can go through the documents in private foundation trusts, board appointments, healthcare for your birth mother. It's all here. She tapped her clutch, where the notebook of clippings now felt weighty as a crown. I turned to Mom and Dad one last time. I need time. Mom nodded, tears glistening. We understand. Dad bowed his head, crushed. We love you, always have. I slipped my glass onto a tray and moved away, retreating to the marble foyer. Guests parted for me like quarters of a wave. The night air, cool and crisp, hit me as I stepped outside. The distant hills winked under the city lights. I breathed deep. Marigold materialized at my side, her emerald dress a slash of color against the stone. I'm proud of you, she said. Lo, no matter what you choose. I exhaled. Thank you for finding me. She slipped an arm through mine. Come home with me. The family compound in Aspen is warm this time of year. You can stay as long as you need. I hesitated, then nodded. Okay. 3 days later, I pulled into the riverfront driveway of the Dane estate in Aspen, an architect's masterpiece of glass and timber, perched above the rushing Roaring Fork River. Snow-kissed pines framed the windows. Inside, an army of helpers bustled, chef preparing truffle risotto, art handlers rehanging a Renoir in the great hall, butlers fluffing throw pillows. Marigold met me at the door. Welcome, she said, her smile the same as ever, warm limestone. You're home. I set down my bag, eyes wide at the vaulted ceilings and floating staircase. It's unreal. She clicked her heels. Your grandfather built it in '82, his masterpiece. I ran my hand along the polished banister. And it's all mine, she laughed. Yours if you want it. We walked through rooms sunlit by floor-to-ceiling windows. Every piece of art, every vessel, every Persian rug part of an inheritance I'd never imagined. But it was too much, too soon. I felt like a character in a novel I'd never auditioned for. Marigold guided me to a study lined with first editions, Joyce, Woolf, Steinbeck, books to feed both mind and status. On the desk lay a leather portfolio, trust documents, stock certificates, letters of intent from board chairs. This paperwork will take weeks to wade through, she said, pulling out a chair. Your legal team's standing by, ready to file acceptance papers. Or you can pocket them and disappear again, no strings attached. I sank into the chair. The cushions whispered beneath me. I need to think. She nodded, passing me a steaming cup of tea. Take your time. The world's not going anywhere. That night, I tossed and turned under a canopy of silk. The moonlight painted silver diamonds on the hardwood floor. My thoughts ricocheted between gratitude and dread. Could I embrace a legacy I never wanted? Could I shoulder the obligations of my birthright? At dawn, I slipped out in a parka and boots, walking the snowy grounds. The river roared beside me, white caps shadowing black rock. I closed my eyes, listened, the water, the wind, the wild, and I remembered my life before this. The hum of my laptop, the bar's neon sign, Maya's laughter echoing in the cafeteria. Those were the chapters I'd lived by choice. This new inheritance was someone else's story, written before I could sign. I turned back toward the house. Marigold waited on the steps, coffee in hand. She nodded. Morning walks clear the mind. I nodded, letting the cold burn the edges of my resolve. I've made a decision. She smiled, hopeful. I met her gaze. I'm grateful to you, to my parents, for trusting me. But I wasn't raised as a Dane. I created my own life, and I'm not ready to abandon that. I'll accept my heritage, but on my terms. Her eyes glowed with pride. I wouldn't expect less. I raised my hands. I want to set up a foundation in my mother's name, funding art programs, scholarships. And I'll take a board seat at Eastwood and serve as an advisor. But the day-to-day, I'll keep running my consultancy. Webwave Designs can grow internationally. This house can be my retreat, a sandbox for creativity, not a gilded cage. She beamed. Perfect. I exhaled. I'll call Mom and Dad. I want them home soon, celebrate what we almost lost. And maybe we bake cookies in this kitchen. She laughed. I'll send staff to stock it. We walked back inside together, the great hall glowing with morning light. I realized that Bloodline was not a sentence. It was a gift, a choice. I could claim it or let it pass me by. And tonight I would decide to shape an inheritance of my own design. Because I was more than a rumor, more than an heir. I was Andrew Talbot, son of the Danes, architect of my own destiny.